Thank you. So, gosh, it's so nice to see so many familiar faces. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Reverend Chad Lewis, and I am a graduate of the class of 2019, and I am currently the manager of student support here at One Spirit. And I am so excited to be with Jean tonight. Jean and I have spent a lot of time together over the summer, and to be sitting here and learn about Labyrinths and participate with you guys is such an honor. So for those of you that don't know Jean, Jean is a graduate of the class of 2008, and she has over 20 years experience studying labyrinths and walking labyrinths. She has walked labyrinths all over the world and is a Veritas certified labyrinth facilitator. She also was part of a team that helped build a permanent installation of a labyrinth at the Marble Church here in New York City. And so now it is a great honor that I introduce to you my dear sweet friend, Reverend Jean Ondo. Hi, Jean.
Thank you, Chad. That was a lovely introduction. I thank you very much for that. And one of the things I want to say is that as a graduate of One Spirit, I feel like the Labyrinth is my ministry. So it's become a very important spiritual practice for me. I first discovered the Labyrinth, or was told about the Labyrinth, by a friend that I've known since I was very little. We were both in kindergarten together. And I went to visit her, and she had a book on her table that had a picture of a labyrinth. This is the picture that was on her book. Can you see it?
Yep.
And I was very intrigued by the design, so I was asking her about it, and she said, "Oh, that's a labyrinth. It's a walking meditation." And of course, my first impression, or my first thought, was the hedges. You see the mazes in England, and you go in and you get lost and you can't find your way out. And I began to do more reading and study about the labyrinth also from what my friend had told me, and realized, no, that's not it at all. It's actually a meditation. It's a walking meditation, a body prayer, a movement. And for me, this was very appealing because I find it very difficult to sit and meditate. I find if I'm sitting for a long time, I get, itchy and twitchy and start wiggling. But I find when I'm moving through the path of the labyrinth, I'm so much more focused and so much more aware of what's going on inside and of the connection that I'm having with the divine, with guidance. And I'm getting answers that I might not have gotten otherwise. So for me, it's been a very wonderful spiritual tool. And I'm just happy to be able to introduce it here to all of you. I'm so happy you're all here to learn about the labyrinth, because I love introducing the labyrinth to everyone I can.
Cool. Well, Jean, look, I'm super excited to do this. We've talked a lot, and I've actually only done one in my whole life. So I'm actually really looking forward to tonight. Can you just share with us a little bit about how the night is going to unfold?
Yes, we have this brief time of introduction, of talking about the labyrinths. I'm giving a little bit of an overview of the history. And then we're actually going to draw a labyrinth. You mentioned that earlier, Chad, because we are going to be walking the labyrinth with our finger. We don't, unfortunately, have a full-size labyrinth we can use for this demonstration or for this session this evening. But we do have the capability of drawing a finger labyrinth. So if you have a pen and paper handy, if you don't, it would be a good idea maybe to have one handy. And we'll go through the practice. Even drawing a labyrinth can be a meditative practice. So we'll go through that process of drawing a labyrinth, and then you can use that labyrinth for your walk if you wish. Or as Chad said earlier, you can download the labyrinth from the chat box.
Yeah, so David has a PDF and he's going to load it into the chat. So in a few minutes, you'll see that. So if you want, you can also print that out. It looks like this. And then also during the walk tonight, we'll have it projected on your computer screen. So you'll have either a printout, the computer, or the ones that we draw. That is so cool. So Jean, what's the history of labyrinths? Like, how long has this been around?
The labyrinth is an archetypal form that has been around since before recorded history. I don't think anyone really knows the origins of the labyrinth. We can only speculate. There are labyrinth designs on caves in various places around the world. They're etched on tombs in Sardinia in Italy. They think that the labyrinth etching was a guide to the afterlife for the soul to get where it needs to go. And they're found in all over the world, in almost every country and every culture, every religion has some form of labyrinth. And one of the earliest that can be dated actually is a design of a labyrinth that was carved into a clay tablet and was in the library at Philos in Greece. And they know that that library burned down, which of course preserved all those clay tablets. And they know the date of that fire, so they can date that labyrinth, that goes back to probably 1200 before Christ, which makes it more than 2,000, 3,000 years old. And there are some labyrinths they think may be as old as 4,000 years. And my theory of the origins of the labyrinth is that, there are spirals everywhere in nature. And of course, spirals come from the Fibonacci numbers and the golden mean and all of those geometrical relationships. And in nature, you find snail shells and seashells, and pine cones have a spiral shape. And even in your body, you have your fingerprints are in a spiral shape. And your brain, if you look at it, looks like a labyrinth, actually, like a spiral form. And I think that ancient peoples saw these spirals and began to associate them with the spirit, with something sacred. And they developed rituals and ceremonies that followed a spiral pattern. And that eventually evolved into the labyrinth as we know it. And of course, the labyrinth transitioned through the ages from those ancient labyrinths in Greece to the medieval labyrinths that you find in cathedrals all throughout Europe. And Chartres in particular has a very, very well-known labyrinth. And there are many other cathedrals that still have their labyrinths that date back to medieval times. The one in Chartres was inlaid in the floor in 1200. And these labyrinths were what they called pilgrimage labyrinths. The people couldn't go, it was too dangerous to go to the Holy Land at that time because of the Crusades and the wars that were happening. And therefore they made the pilgrimage to these cathedrals and walked the labyrinth to symbolize going to Jerusalem. And therefore the center of the labyrinth became known as Jerusalem, or the Holy City. So, and then of course, coming down, transitioning further on down into the modern day, you find labyrinths everywhere. They're in parks, they're in churches, they're in prisons, and hospitals, and people have them in their backyards. Sometimes farmers plow them into their fields. It's become a very widespread spiritual tool used in many, many places and all around the world.
Wow, that is so cool. So our ancestors for thousands of years have been so connected to nature. I love this idea of like snails and pine cones and just even our fingerprints, like this idea of the path of the labyrinth is literally all around us all the time. And then being able to use that as a walking meditation to just connect with the divine on a path and get a message on whether it's, you know, your ancestors transition into a different space or messages or an inspiration. It's beautiful. So how did you get involved in this?
Well, as I said, I had a conversation with my friend back in Ohio, and I became very interested in the labyrinth, and I began to read more about it, and I found the organization called Veritas, and they offer training in the labyrinth, becoming a facilitator. And I felt this was something that I really wanted to do. So I was able to take the training to become a facilitator. And as I say, I came to One Spirit, and I decided to make the Labyrinth my ministry, which I have continued to do. And I offer workshops at my church. I talk to people about the labyrinth. I walk labyrinths myself whenever I can. And like tonight, I'm offering a chance for people to experience the labyrinth and give my knowledge. There's much I could talk about that could go on for the whole.
Well, and you're going to teach us how to draw, right? So how about you teach us how to draw?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, let's draw a labyrinth. And as I said, this can be a meditative experience for you as well. Once you know the basic pattern, you can draw your own labyrinth, which you can.
All right. So if you want to grab a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen, we're going to go through this. It's actually very simple. So Jean, would you like to walk us through how to do a labyrinth?
Okay, you start at sort of the lower third of your paper because you're going to go a little bit higher up. So you make a cross, you make a horizontal line and a vertical line.
Like that?
Like that. And now
Really?
you have 4 quadrants. In each of those quadrants, you make an L shape. That's
Okay.
parallel to the first lines you do.
Like that?
Yes.
Okay. How am I doing?
You're doing great.
Great.
It might be a little big because you may go off the paper.
Am I not going to have enough room? Okay, here, I'll clear
It's
those.
possible, but let's go.
Okay.
Okay, next step, you put a dot in each of the corners. Those little L shapes, you make a dot.
A dot. Okay.
Like that, yes.
Dot.
Now this is your basic, what they call the seed pattern. And this design will be a 7-circuit classical labyrinth. Now you come back to your center line and you draw a line across to the next line that's
So going from here
right.
to
From
here.
your left to right. Like that, exactly.
Cool.
Then you go to the next line on your right.
Okay.
And you draw a line around parallel to the first line, connecting to the dot on the right-hand side.
Like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you go to that little dot on the left, and you come all the way around your 2 lines and connect with the line on the right. Like that.
Wow. Okay. And then just keep going.
Great job. Then next line, and you
Okay.
connect it to that center line, the cross line that's coming across there. Like that.
That one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And the next line, you come around to the next top part of your little L shape down there on the right.
Okay.
Come back to there. And this one you connect to the dot.
This is so cool.
Perfect. Then you come to the dot and you connect. Now gets a little bit tricky, but you have to come around and connect with
this guy.
Yes, that's
Okay.
perfect.
So
And
then I only have one left.
you come and you can kind of make a little bit more round design as you're coming. And then that one will connect with your center line. And voila.
Oh my gosh. It's a labyrinth.
You have a labyrinth.
Okay, hold on. I want to test this. So I'm going to do a different color in a thinner pen. Okay. So this is the entrance, right?
That's the entrance. Yes, your open
So,
space, your entrance.
so then when we walk the labyrinth,
there's only one path. So
there's
you
only one
can't
path.
get lost. You can't get, and this is where, you know, you have the two terms, labyrinth and maze, that are really used interchangeably, but they really aren't the same, because a labyrinth really has only one path. In the maze, you go in and you have dead ends and you have blocks and you have places where you've got to turn around and go back. But in the labyrinth, you've only got one path, so you don't have to worry about getting lost or losing your way anywhere.
Oh yeah, you're right. It seems kind of overwhelming at the start. I feel like I'm gonna get lost, but I'm not. I'm like literally being directed right to the center.
Follow the path. And the saying is that
oh yeah, cool.
In a maze, you lose yourself. In a labyrinth, you find yourself.
That's so cool. So then this drawing, literally I could draw on a piece of paper. I could paint on a sheet. I could use outside in the yard. I could take this relatively anywhere. It's portable.
Right. Yes,
Cool.
it's absolutely portable. One of the suggestions I have is, you know, if you have a doctor's appointment and you're feeling a little anxious and you have to sit in the waiting room, take out a piece of paper and use this design and get yourself calmed down by drawing a labyrinth.
Right, because like you said, just even drawing it is a meditative thing. If you're attaching to it in a divine kind of guidance kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you do
I've often thought about putting labyrinths in every doctor's office, because I think it'd be such a great thing to have in the waiting room for people to use while they're waiting to see the doctor.
That's really smart, Jean. Okay, so you guys get the point. Cool. So then, Jean, are we gonna walk an actual labyrinth?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, so how do we do it? Like, what's the steps? What do we need to do?
Okay, well, the idea, there are actually 3 parts to the walk. You start at the entrance and you walk in to the center. As you're walking in, you're thinking of an intention. You're focusing on what it is you want to focus on during this walk. You might maybe have something going on in your life that you want an answer to. Maybe you want to focus on that. Maybe you just want to be in the space. You just want to be quiet and peaceful and just go quietly around and not have to really think about anything. You might want to repeat a mantra like let go, let God, peace, be still. Maybe a Bible verse, maybe a hymn, a song, something that's significant to you. And you're something to focus on as you're going into the center. And you're using that to guide you or to focus on as you get to the center. When you get to the center, you can pause, you go in and you're open to receiving. This is the part where you wait for the answer, where you're receptive and hoping for an answer. And you may receive an answer, you may not, but you've started a process. And even if you don't get the answer right away, sometimes starting that process, the answer will come to you, maybe as you leave the labyrinth, maybe the next day, maybe 2 or 3 months down the road somewhere, something will click in your life that you realize, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to know from the labyrinth, and here it is. It's my answer. It's come to me. And anyway, when you feel you've been in the center long enough, then you trace the same path back out, and you're taking it with you, whatever it is you've learned, even if it's just that you've calmed yourself and become quiet. Maybe that's all you need to take back out with you into your daily life. But you've got a tool that you can continue to use to get your answers, to deepen your spiritual connection. And there's some people that walk labyrinths every day. And I think it's a very wonderful spiritual tool. So I hope you will use it as a spiritual practice.
Right. So if I set the intention, for example, of saying, okay, so one spirit's about ready to start a
Right.
whole new year of, seminary students walking the path of, their journey in seminary. So if I trace it out with the intention of connecting to the divine, wanting to possibly know like some answers on how I can best, serve the community, maybe get to the center and just meditate on that for a minute, see if I get some answers, and then just gently take my time going back out, and then just kind of trust that the collective energy of the labyrinth will send me some energy or some guidance on what I might need to do if my intention is to show me a message on how I best serve the class. Is that a good example?
Yes, that's
Great.
wonderful example.
Cool. So we're going to do this for 20 minutes and we're going to play with music. And then in the middle of the labyrinth, I am going to, after 10 minutes, ring my bell. So you will hear that sound, and that will be just your mental cue that we're halfway through. So if you haven't made it to the center yet, get to the center or go ahead and start leaving the center. And then I will ding the ding again when there's 1 minute left. And then after we've done the walk, we will come back into the space and have an opportunity to share experiences and to ask Jean more questions. And if you'd like, you can use the labyrinth that you drew or the one that we printed out, but there will also be one on the screen if you want to follow with your finger as well. So is that it? Are we ready to go, Jean? Do you have anything else to add?
I think that's pretty well covers it, but does anybody need any clarification? Are there any questions at this point about the process? If not, I think we should get started so we do have the experience of our walk. And I would suggest maybe just we could all take a deep breath together to prepare us for the walk.
Great.
I wish you blessings on your journey. We are getting close to the end of our time, so please bring your labyrinth walk to a conclusion.
Jean, thank you. I actually had a really cool experience myself. It was beautiful. So now for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, we're gonna open the floor for anyone who would like to share a little bit about their experience tonight, any messages that may have come up for you during your journey, or to just ask Jean any questions that you might have about labyrinths or walks. But the floor is now open, so if you want to go into the participant screen and raise your hand, or you can just raise it on the screen. Would anybody like to share anything about their walk?
Hi, Jean. Thank you so much. I had a beautiful experience where I was cruising through, and it made me think that often I feel this need to accomplish something and then miss the whole depth of the experience of it. And I have a question about this particular labyrinth that we used. Does the center have any symbolism with the petals?
Yes, the chart, the design is the Chart Cathedral Labyrinth, and the center is the six petal rose. It's the symbol of the Virgin Mary, actually, which is, of course, Chart Cathedral being one of the Madonna or Mother Mary cathedrals. That's a very significant part of the center. And there are meanings to the petals. I don't know if I have time to explain all of that, but each of the petals, there are 6 petals, and one is for earth, the earthly kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, human, angel, and the very last petal you start around from the left and is the divine or the unknown, or that sort of beyond the whatever that you want to get in touch with. And you could actually name, if you're using the chart design and you want to, any 6 or 7 things you can put in there. There's 7 days of the week, the 7 chakras, you know, your middle could be the 7th portion. So you could give names to all those petals. You could put a significance in each one of them. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Certainly.
That's beautiful. Shirley. Where is Shirley?
Shirley, you need to unmute yourself. We haven't heard you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, there you are. Yep.
That's better. Definitely.
Thank you so much, Jane. This has been a very, very beautiful experience. I've been walking the labyrinth now for at least 20 years, but this is the first time that I've walked it on Zoom. And I'm using a small handheld labyrinth with grooves in it. It was a gift last year. And I wanted to experiment with something because the music was so beautiful and so soothing. And what I found initially is that I was walking and it felt like I was walking so fast. And so I decided to try it with my eyes closed and just to, feel within the grooves. And it made a significant difference, and I really enjoyed it that way. So now I'm going to be trying that. And when I typically walk the labyrinth, I have a formula. It typically takes me an hour, 20 minutes in, 20 minutes out, and I do it 3 times. And I always walk with an intention. And whatever that intention is when I start, particularly if there's some type of answer I'm looking for, I'm sure to have a clue, if not the whole answer, when I'm finished. So thank you for this deepening of what I think is a really beautiful tool for meditation and prayer.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley. And I was going to suggest that because that's a grooved labyrinth, you could close your eyes and just let your fingers wander over the path. It's a wonderful experience. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Darren, did you want to share?
Yeah, I did. Jean, this was marvelous. I'm so glad it's going to be, or it is recorded, because I need to go back and take some more notes. Thank you for your wisdom and sharing everything you did. And this was really interesting for me. I was distracted getting started with the labyrinth. My cat was wanting to be fed, and I was just trying to breathe into it. And so I just started, and then I realized my finger was too fat to see where I was going. So then I had to start again, and I got like a rubber tipped pen and was doing it. And I found when I was getting to those center of those turns, my eyes were just crossing, and I was like, had to focus. And then I realized, wait a minute, I think I'm trying to look too far ahead. Just look right where the rubber tip is and just trust. And that was really the lesson for me. Like when I got to the center, it was like, no, you got it when you started. That was the message you needed. It was just that trusting and just looking where you are and being and trusting that each step will take you to the next place in those turns. And then I also noticed, like on the down motion, it actually felt like those times when emotionally I'd go down and be afraid I wouldn't come out of it. But again, there's that trust, because even though I couldn't see the turn that would shoot me back up again, if I just followed the path, it automatically took me on my way. So this was just lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darren.
Darren, that was beautiful. Susie Peel.
Thank you. Hi. Jean, I so appreciated that, and it gave me a profound sense of joy. And it brought back the physical experience of walking labyrinths. I've done it 2-3 times. And there's something extraordinary is in the sort of horizontal part. You're far outside. Suddenly you're really close to the center, only you're not. You get taken all the way out again. And it's this surrender of, I don't know where I am and whether I'm close or far. And suddenly I'm there. And the other thing that was a physical experience is to realize I'm facing different directions. I think I'm going this way, and then I get turned around, I'm going that way. Nope, I'm getting turned around, I'm going that way. So it forces awareness of everything. So I was very happy to be reminded, sent back into that experience, and I have to find one to walk. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Susie.
Susie. All right, Susan Sergel.
Hi, Jean, thank you so much. And Chad, you both, I just love you both. Jean, I have walked the labyrinth with you at Marble Collegiate many times. I also have a handheld one with grooves that a friend of mine gave me. I can't quite put my finger in, but it has this little stylus. And as I was walking this, I was imagining the physical walks that I've taken. There's one labyrinth that I go to very frequently, that is the 7th Circuit. And then there's another one that I have recently discovered that's like the Chartres labyrinth. And I'm always taken by the way as Susie said, you're going in one direction and then you're going in another direction. And I often think about, oh, I've been here before, but now I'm here in a different way and in a different time and with a different perspective, even though I've been here before. So it's just a beautiful practice, and thank you for offering this.
Thank you for sharing, Susie.
Thank you, Susan. Yvonne.
Thank you both. That was just spectacular. I woke up this morning, it was not a great day, but now it is so tranquil and peaceful. I don't even know what I was worried about this morning, but I want to just make 2 comments. I have a t-shirt that has a labyrinth on it, and I never thought that one could like walk the labyrinth unless you're literally in the place. So I'm going to find that t-shirt. I know it's hanging in the closet, and do my little meditation. So thank you for a wonderful idea. The other, at one point I was working at City University of New York. The law school was at Queens College, and the address is 6521 Main Street. The building, the law school moved out. It was an old middle school. There is a little backyard with a small labyrinth. One of the deans at one point was given money to fix the backyard. She put this tiny little labyrinth. So I don't know if it's the Department of Education now has the building at Queens College in New York. So that would be a wonderful thing, especially, Jean, that you've gone through all over the world. But this little patch in the back of Main Street in Flushing, Queens. Okay. And then she did it for meditative purposes. And every time, and I was in the admissions office, and we had a door that opened to the back. Mm-hmm. And every time exams were coming, you would see the students in the back walking this little labyrinth. And the movement, as was said earlier by 2 of our members, that you start one place and you all of a sudden you're in another place. And I think that's the whole thing also of life, that we think this is the direction to take, this is the path, and all of a sudden we're making a left turn somewhere. And it's that letting go, the listening with your feet, I call it. Then you have to follow that path. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And the labyrinth is a metaphor for life. So pay attention to how you walk and you'll learn a lot.
That's funny. Anyone else have anything they want to share? Any questions they might want to ask? Erin.
Jean, one more question. You used a term for the training you got to the knowledge of the labyrinth. What was that word?
Facilitator?
Yeah, facilitator, but it started with a G, I thought. It was
Veritas or
Veritas is the name of the organization.
Oh, that's probably what I heard. Could somebody type that in the...
Yeah, and I have a couple of links for resources that I'm going to copy and paste in the chat box for everybody. And I'm also going to put a link to the music. It's on YouTube. So I will put that in there in a second. Great. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Leslie?
Yes, I'm sorry. I wrote something into the chat, which was actually directed to everybody, but unfortunately it was just to Jean Ando. It's a question. Would you mind reading it? Maybe she's got the answer. I'll read it right now. How about I read it right now?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I used to walk the labyrinth at Little Portion Friary in Mount Sinai on Long Island. And the Franciscans at that time had a walk every full and new moon. But they also posted 13 lamps around the perimeter. The number 13 represented something about Mary, and I've forgotten what that is. Do you know, please? Does anybody know? Yeah.
No, I don't know that particular significance. I'm sorry. I imagine if you did a search on the internet, yes, come out somewhere.
They did have the 6 colors. They also have the 6 colors.
That particular one, I don't recall, no.
Okay, thank you. I had a lovely walk. Thank you so much.
Glad you did.
breathing, yeah.
Great. Anyone else? Susie.
Jean, I'm so glad we got to do this together. Thank you so much. So I usually do just walking meditations or some kind of physical meditation. And this one, just using my finger, I could feel the sweep and the turn. And as people have been saying, the being in a different place and having to really tune in your senses to, is this where I belong? Am I going to follow this path and it's going to reveal something? So it was really wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this for us and with us. And I really was touched by the sharings tonight about all that's come up for people during this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by what people share too. And I do thank everyone for that as well.
Elizabeth Brown.
Yeah, I just had the most beautiful memory of when we were ordained, because there was a labyrinth at Stony Creek at the retreat center. And I walked it several times when I was there, and I wondered if anyone else had done that. And they also had seemed to very mindfully plant bushes around that all had wonderful fragrances around the labyrinth. So you also had that stimulation when you were walking around. But it was beautiful. It's a beautiful morning. Thank you so much. And I have actually been to Cathedral and stood in the middle of that labyrinth. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And Emily Mockett, did you want to go ahead and share that with the group?
Sure. I just wanted to thank you, Jean, for the accessibility of this exercise. And there's a freedom and a real gift to be able to draw that anywhere, take it anywhere, use it with someone who can't walk. And I just loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
All right, anyone else? Yeah, Jean, honestly, it's been a real gift. I mean, it was nice to go through my own experience and have my own messages, but yeah, I'd second you, Emily, in the collective wisdom that also came tonight just from hearing everyone share is something that I don't typically get if I was just going to kind of go do a walk by myself. And then not only that, but it also inspired me to literally, I think I'm going to paint one on a sheet and just have it in my room. So I can literally just walk around it and have access to it any way I want. And I can light it with candles or, like you said, put fragrance or just give myself permission to be creative with this as a tool and not just use it as something that like, oh, I have to go to this space to do. I can create it and have it to be my own. So yeah, I mean, thank you for the offering. It was absolutely beautiful. So for everybody, I put a bunch of links that that Jean had shared with me in the chat box. So Jean, basically, if you want more information on like where you can find a labyrinth in your area, learning more about labyrinths to get certified, that website is there. And then also if you are interested in the drawing, if you just search like drawing labyrinths in YouTube, there's a bunch of videos that will teach you how to create more elaborate ones if you want to use it as a tool. And then, of course, if you have any questions or whatever, you can feel free to, you can email me. I'm help@1spirit.org, and I can make sure to put you in touch with Jean. And that's it. If everybody wants to put yourself in gallery view, and Jean, would you like to lead us out?
Yes. Let's, yeah, if you can get into gallery view, and we all have we're all in our nice little Zoom boxes. So let's just reach out to the edges of our box and connect with everyone that's here. May we be full of love. May we be at peace. Now hold your hands straight out. May you be full of love. May you be at peace. And finally, bring your hands into your heart. May I be full of love. May I be at peace. Thank you all for being here this evening. And I hope you will continue to use the labyrinth as part of your spiritual practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Good night, everybody.
Good night, all. Labyrinth blessings.